Okay. So we are holding by Ois Yud Aleph, second last Ois of the Maimer. And what he has been explaining now is the Maila Dafke of Avodas Tzadikim of h'tשכ, notwithstanding the fact that the Avodah of Tshuva reaches higher, but Tshuva is really breaking the world, breaking self. The direction of Tshuva is upwards, as implied by the word Teshuva, even to return. But the Tachlis HaKavana, making the world a Dirib Tachtoinim, is to imbue the world and draw Likus down. And that's the Avodah of Tzadikim. Now, even though, as the Maim explained at length, the Avodah of the Tzadik, even with Bittel and Anova, it's still Giluyim, it is Pashtus, it's not the Etzem Oir. It's only through the Avodah of Tshuva, Ve'avyoyni Odom B'Kedosh Yisrael Yogilu, Avyoyni Odom going on the Baal Tshuva, who reached the level of Kedusha. This was explained in the beginning of the Maimer, the difference between Gedula and Kedusha, and in each one there's two madregas, Gedulaschem, Gedulasi, Kedushaschem, Kedushasi. Even though we haven't really learned what Kedushaschem is, maybe the end will come out. But in general, it's the Avodah of Tzadikim, Torah Mitzvahs, as opposed to the Avodah, in contrast to the Avodah of Tshuva, that's Kedusha. Kedusha C is Tshuva. So again, notwithstanding that the Avodah of Tshuva reaches higher, but it doesn't pervade the world. On the contrary, his Avodah is the subjugation of the world. So therefore, what makes the world a dirib tachtonim and therefore completes the divine intent is dafke the Avodas Tzadikim. And there's a whole arichas about this. Ziv, the tzaddik, the office of the world, were born in Chodesh Ziv, even though born in Chodesh Nisan, but the effect of the Avodah is in the second month, representing the effect of the Avodah, the Hamshach Lamata, and that is a Primis Dike Hamshach. And therein lies the Kavanah. So as you said earlier, that's why the Beis Hamikdash is built Dafka in the territory of Binyamin, who didn't sin, in the whole story with Yosef. Avodas Tzadikim. So I think we started already Ois Yud Aleph. We did. Did we? If we did the whole thing. Yeah, we did. So Ois Yud Aleph, so we expressed what I just said now, and elaborated that notwithstanding the Avodah of Gedulasi, which is the higher Avodah of the Tzadikim, as conveyed in the Pasuk, V'yosvu Anovim B'havaya Simcha, that the humble ones, referring to the higher level of service of the Tzadik, adds to Shem Havaya. And there's the Avodah of Bittel. But what was the point that he said? The Bittel of the Tzaddik is not the same as the Bittel, the Metzias of the Baal Tshuva. In fact, they are contrasting in opposites. The Bittel of the Tzaddik his Metzias is not negated. He just recognizes in his humility that all of his talents come from Hashem, and therefore he's a humble person. But the Baal Tshuva is not humble; he's ashamed. So his avodah is transcending his mitzias, going beyond self, and because he's totally beyond and renounces self, as it were, breaks his habits and breaks his past and breaks his behavior. So therefore, he's mamshich, a higher level. He's mamshich, a level of alikus that's higher than hishtalshalus. Whereas the tzaddik, even on the highest level, v'yosvu anovim b'avaya simcha, it's still connected to Shem Havaya. It's still gedula. Gedula means gilui, his pashtos, manifestation, in contrast to the etzem. So the hamshocha that is elicited through a tshuva is higher. But as he goes on to say now on Ois Yud Beis, v'hinei Now we come to the finale of the Maamar, which is very rapid in terms of the words that he uses, very, very brief, but the summation very deep. We'll try and, I guess Willie glanced at it, we'll try and learn it together. So let's go now. Ois Yud Beis, the last Ois, right? If you have the photocopy, what you have, it's page Kufayin Gimel. You probably have the not the photocopy, but I sent you by email. Ois Yud Beis. Hine kol zeh v'negeh la'amshocha atzma. Namely, that the amshocha, the level that is touched, the avodah of tshuva is higher. True kedusha. The tzaddik is great. Gedula, but tshuva reaches holiness, and he reaches holiness dafka by self-renouncement. So that's what benegeh the amshocha atzma avol. That's the mile of the avodah of tshuva, but that's not enough, because Dira b'tachtoinim is not break the world, but suffuse the world. A home has to be a place of expression, of gilui, of engagement, of connection, not of silence and surrender and mortification in iskafia. Iskafia you can do in yeshiva, but at home when your wife serves you a meal, you eat it and you compliment it. That's a home. Dira b'tachtoinim is not breaking the world, but suffusing the world. Which she says that. So this is the tzaddikim to the avodah of tzaddikim, not the avodah of tshuva. Order 92. Look at order 91. Yeah, okay, if you recall, let's look at order 91. Rabbi refers us back to chapter 8, where he said that there was a medical chiddush there, the ha'oras, that Rabbi insisted that every Baal Tshuva is the mile of h'tshk. The one that doesn't, the one that's excluded, because we're forced to confront the Gemara in Yuma that says that only Tshuva me'av transforms zdonis and kazochias, and the Rebbe is insisting that every tshuva does. So he said there the ha'ara that he suggested. The Rebbe suggested, that means he makes this the reality, that the Gemara is speaking at the lowest level of tshuva, a tshuva that's born out of fear of punishment. So that taka will not transform anything. But any level after that, any level higher than afraid of punishment, a desire for connection, whatever it is, already has the mile of h'tshk, which is a big chiddush that the Rebbe established based on the Rambam and so on, as we learned in the ha'ara. So he says that, so there he was also speaking, what does he want to say in order 91? We're talking here the chsaron of tshuva, the Baal Tshuva. We did also previously, but there it was different. Let's see. When we said that the avodah of tshuva falls short of transformation, of h'tshk, of making it dira b'tachtoinim, there we were speaking because avodah is akbei from the iskafia, it's only iskafia. So v'atam sh'alidei zel nishma dira b'tachtoinim, and that avodah is not going to make this world a home, because if you're breaking the world, it's not a home. Okay, the keli l'likus, he's not making the world a keli for likus. Home has to express us, not deny us. But here he's saying something higher. Here we're speaking tshuva at the highest levels, like it was about the diet, tremendous chadot, tremendous tshuva, and mesiras nefesh. It's still problematic because it's higher than the world. Either way, tshuva doesn't make a dira b'tachtoinim. Not the classic low level of iskafia, even iskafia, and not the highest level, which is bittul b'metzias, where he transcends the world. Problem with both of them is it doesn't pervade the world. So even, just to clarify, it wasn't clear before, Even the level of tshuva that has an element of h'tchk, like he said in the others, it's still not making it the keli for the kos like the avodas tzaddikim, because it's iskafia. Even though there is a modicum of h'tchk there. Okay, we'll revisit all of that when we do chazorah. The point being, bottom line, transcendence or breaking self doesn't make the world a did leizbarach. That's not the stuff of marriage. It can be the foundation. The stuff of marriage is engagement and experience of each other. Yishapcha. That's did betachtoinim. As he continues in the text, ki inyan last, did betachtoinim who. What's did betachtoinim? Hashem wants his world to be a place where he can reside, that the world remains the world. It's not crushed, it's not surrendered, not transcended, nor ignored. That's did betachtoinim. Given the house has to be full of expression. The house is not a bare bones existence. Not a cave, a hut, but a home. And the home has all kinds of detail, even detail that is not necessary for living. Ornamentation and what I'm looking for, decoration. Decoration is not iskafia breaking. It's in the contrary, that's engaging in nuance, in color, and decoration, and furniture, what kind, and much of it is not functional. It's decorative. But that's the point of a home. It's tafka in the pratim, in the detail, where the delight is and where there's expression and where there's experience. And that's not tshuva. The kivin she not tshuva, she yotzim mitziyusai. But tshuva is the opposite, not engaging the mitziyas, going out of one's mitziyas. Noisiv lebit la mitziyas shalei kanal. In addition to the humility, the whole point of tshuva is to leave the past or himself behind. So therefore, so that state is not the avodah of dire l'chenyin adire b'achterim or the avodah tzaddikim. Therefore, the adire is dafke the avodah tzaddikim. And now is going to answer the question that we had earlier in the Maimer, that the Tzemach Tzedek said that we ask me and the Yiten ka'achli, the Eibusher should be like a brother to us and deal with us like what? Like Yosef and Binyamin. Simple reason, because Yosef didn't pain Binyamin. We don't want Yisurim. It's all very nice, asked the Rebbe, but we're not Binyamin. We're not tzaddikim. We are like the brothers. We have sinned. We have violated, like we learned early in the Maimer. The problem with sin is not so much the sin. It's that we ignore the cry of the neshama and the Eibishter. That's worse than the sin itself. As the brother said, Hashem anachnu, we are guilty because we didn't listen when Yosef pleaded with us. Worse than actually casting him into the pit and selling him as a... So that's us. So why are we asking? How can we, by what right can we ask, deal with us like Yosef and Binyamin? Because nonetheless, Rebbe answered the question now. Mevakshim, and this is the story between Alter Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek. Mevakshim she'yeh Yosef leBinyamin. We still are asking Eibush to deal with us like Yosef and Binyamin. The Yeshleim. Now the next few words, friends, this is the crunch, because till now he made it very clear. Tshuva is beautiful and wonderful and very lofty, but it's not the kavan. So what? So we're not tzaddikim. Okay, he said before in the Maimer that there's enough tzaddik by everybody and it's all relative. They still fall short of avodas tzaddikim b'h'tchk in the real sense. Answer: the Yeshleima, the fact that we are asking to deal with us like Binyamin, shebarem b'zem beramez. Hear the words, friends. Shagam avodas hatshuva tiba. This is quintessential Rebbe. Shagam avodas hatshuva tiba oifen. We're asking that our tshuva, which is what's required of us, we're also asking Eibusher to inspire us to do tshuva. That's all part of the whole model here. Yosef brought the brothers to tshuva, bring us to tshuva, but not through Yisurim. According to the Tzemach Tzedek, the Eibush is called Yochel, they can do it without Yisurim. But moreover, we're asking Shagam Avid, the fact that we're invoking Binyamin, we're asking that Avid Satshuva Tiyehu Shagilu Shei Tshuva, that this Gilu, this connection to the Eibush that happens through Tshuva. Shalamai the Megad Mitzias, beyond Mitzias of the self and of Ishtalshul is the whole existence. Yumshach Ba'olam Bisyashvus. That this transcendent, essential level, Kedusha, which by definition means removed. Kedusha means removed. Not Gedula, Kedusha. This should be Nimshach Ba'olam Bisyashvus. That which is beyond creation should pervade creation and bisyashus. Mailis at tzaddikim, that's the mile of tzaddikim. Ki Yosef libin Yamin. It is the Tiyehu b'kelim the tikkun.
So in a Veda, what does that mean, though? That iskafia should look like isapcha. What does that look like?
That means he's engaged. I don't know. Can't tell you.
That means not to get carried away with yourself.
Not to get carried away with yourself.
When you're doing something right.
Okay. It means eat the meal and compliment, but all that should be, this is a nukuda. What has to be front and center is, you want me to enjoy the world. That's got to be front and center. That shouldn't be lost. What's the value of all of this? All of the pleasures that God wants us to enjoy in Shabbos and the married life, v'chulu, v'chulu. What he has to have front and center is that why? Because you want it. Because you want it. That's a big avodah and a constant avodah, to be able to be within and without at the same time. It's the yin of shlichus. It's the ultimate yin of shlichus. Everything is because this is the mission. This is what you want. You want to do the b'tachtonim. You want the godliness to pervade the mitzias. So we're going to engage the world in all of its experiences, and you want us to enjoy it as well. But that's the nukuda, because you want us to enjoy it, and therefore there's this element of iskaf here, and that will mean you'll enjoy it even when you don't want to enjoy it. This is a very clear, simple example of it. Not in the mood. Not in the mood for to have a good time. But do you want? So he breaks himself to enjoy it. Let me tell you a story I've told you before. This is not, the story is too simplistic in terms of applying it to ourselves, but it gives us some measure of an idea. It's a famous story of a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov. I don't know if you know who it was. And he wanted to know, Rebbe, how can you eat the Shem Shemayim? I told you the story. So he sends him to a certain village with the name of a person. Anyway, he inquires after this person, and finally he's told him. He sits at the edge, he lives in the edge of town. He is either as a woodcutter or he gets supplies like a neft. It's a very simple, low kind of job. Anyway, this Shem Tov sent him, so he comes to the house. First thing, he struck the guy's obese. The Shem Tov sends him here to learn to eat the Shem Shemayim. No, the Shem Tov sent him, so he says, would you mind if I stay with you a day or two? So with pleasure. Very humble home, wife, maybe some children. Anyway, he's watching this guy at the first meal. It was a very simple fare, obviously, they're very poor. It was bread and beets. And he's telling his wife after he finishes the plate, Surale, noch. And never saw a person eat so much in his life. And Hashem sent him here. Anyway, next morning, maybe he's missing something. He looks very intently. No, he asked. His man is eating, and he's eating like he's never seen a person consume food. And it seems never enough. There's no more, no more. He would eat whatever. Finally, he's there a day or two, and he's going to take his leave of him. And he says, I have to ask you, to explain. I've never seen anybody consume food as you do. Why? Can you explain this to me? So he told him that his father, the priest that tried to, whole story there, to convert him, his father resisted. And his father was burnt at the stake. Anybody who was come to force he and his siblings were forced to watch it. And of course, they came from far and wide. This was the Sunday morning spectacle, the greatest entertainment to watch the Jew burn. He says, my father was a thin man. In a few moments, he was burnt to a crisp. When they do it to me, I'll burn and burn and burn. They won't get rid of this Jew so quickly. He heard this. He came back to Baal Shem Tov. He told the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov told him, so you should know that every mouthful this man eats is l'mayla, like he's sacrificing his life al Kiddush Hashem. I'm not saying this story applies to us, but the nakud of it all is that you engage all of it and enjoy all of it, but then why? Because that's your desire. Okay, let's continue the paragraph. Zehu Gama Keshe, the Shnei Pirushim. So now we've reconciled the two Pirushim of the Alter Rebbe, who said Miten Ka'ach Lisavit Tzadikim, and the Pirushim of the Tzemach Tzedek, likewise Rashi and the Medrash. It's really one thing. That it goes takum both at once, because we're asking for both. You have to hold by both. Quintessential Rebbe mitzad the etzem is no stira. Mitzad the etzem, there could be iskafi even in the pleasure. And avoid that means in the kudah that even in the pleasure, it's for you. You meaning for the Eibishter, for you meaning for another Jew. So he has a beautiful home and he has a beautiful meal, but he invites and he shares. And he does so even to the extent that pushes himself in that regard beyond his natural capacity or natural threshold of or tolerance of hospitality. So there's this coffee and this ha'tchek, sitting together and drinking wine and eating. Let's conclude with Gimel. Zeh Kadoshim Tiyehu ki Kodesh Oni. Just 1 second. Okay. Zehu K'doshim Tiyehu ki Kodesh Oni. So the Medrash said, Yochel Kameini, I might think that HaKadosh is on par with the Eibishter. Says the Eibishter, no, K'dosh is the mind of K'dosh. My K'dosh is higher than your Tshuva, and Vayim L'Kotei Torah. The Alter Rebbe had explained, and we had a big question. What did the Alter Rebbe say to K'dosh? It's called my Kedusha, because this is a Kedusha that comes not through the Avodah down here of us, and yet the Alter Rebbe said, That Rebbe said the Kedusha Si is drawn down through tshuva. How can you say that this is higher than the Kedusha that is drawn? How can you say that this comes not through Sedrusa de Latata, not through arousal from below? That is not tshuva that? The answer is that Sedrusa de Latata means that the Tata, the lower one, is engaged. But tshuva is we're going beyond self. It's the whole arichas of the Maimon. That's not the Sedrusa de Latata, where the Tata, the lower level, us, is in a state of inspiration. That's the Shisabcha. That's the engagement of self. But the emes of tshuva is, as we explained, Eina Mitzias. It's a renunciation of self. It's the breaking of self. That's not Isarusa de Latata. But male, as he says, Ein Zein Isarusa de Latata, but not, it's not an arousal of the lower one. It's the renouncement of the lower one. So I've answered that question. Tshuva is bittul b'mitzi. It's not in the Sarusa de Latata, which is evidence of tzaddikim. And that also explains why the Medrash prefaced this whole discussion about Kedusha with the parallel of Gedula. And that was the introduction. Why is the Medrash talking about Gedula in the brackets? The Pasuk Tiyehu is talking about Kedusha. So why does the Medrash also give this whole similar model of Gdulaschem? You might think it's the same, but my Gdul is higher. We now have the answer. The Medrash wants to talk about Gedula because the Moishe Gdulasi, just like Gdulasi, Afshila Ma'ale Gdulaschem, even though it's higher than Gdulaschem, we said that avoid of the what of the bittul of the tzaddik, but it's still the metzias of the tzaddik. Who inyan hagilu v'shaychas lamata? That's all shaykh. That's the metzias. That's his habcha. That's the dira. So the Medrash wants is hinting that now that we're talking about kedusha and tshuva, it follows directly on the discussion about gedula and his habcha because the tachlis is the two of them. You got the subtle answer here. The tachlis is the fusion. Friends, we follow this. So that's why the Medrash is maktim. Rebbe just didn't ask this question earlier. He's asking it now. He just mentioned it earlier. Why are we getting this whole beard of Gdulaschem, Gduloschi on the Pasuk Kedoshim Tiyehu? True, it's the same model and the same kind of dialogue, but that's not the subject at hand. The answer is it is, because the whole Chiddush and the whole Kavanah is that the Avodah of Kedusha be nimshach in a pnimius. And that's Gedula, that's Avedis Tzadikim. So there is a Yigam Amshach Kedushasi. So therefore, the Medrash first talks about Gedula, that's all about Pnimius. So too, the Avedis Kedushasi, that even though on the one hand it's connection to the Etzim, L'mayle, Mishtal Shalos, and the whole Avedis, the breaking of self, that permeates self. Atzubrochenem Freilichen Ishaliki. Shattered, joyous man of God. As Rabbi Golden described the Rebbe to Rabbi Zalman Bransky in a letter that he sent to him in the early 50s that I told you about, that I was privileged to see myself. That this should be this level, which is an atzmisdik level. It's really higher than Kedusha. It's the Etzem Mamish. So that this should be revealed. It should also be the mile of the avoid of the matter. That's tzaddikim is hapcha engagement. And thereby this completes the divine intent of diribet achtoinim. That it's at once transcendent and at once imminent, present, engaged, experience, full resonated connection. Okay, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we will begin the Chazorah, and then the day after or so, start the next Maimer in the Hemshech, which talks about the refuah, healing.